Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? This is Amanda. Today is the 19th of March, and it is Mother's Day here in the UK. I know it isn't in all parts of the world, and in many ways, I think it's great that Mother's Day is celebrated on different days around the globe, just to spread out that nurturing, nourishing, beautiful mother energy. And even if maybe you didn't have the best experience in terms of the mother that you were born to, remember it was the one that you chose. If you are a mother yourself and are struggling with any issues linked into that and parenting, sending you love and knowing also that you can dip into Mother Mary's beautiful energies at any time of the year. It doesn't have to be particularly on Mother's Day. And to those of you that maybe are struggling to be a mother, have lost a mother, or a mother who has lost a child, also sending you love. These days bring up mixed emotions, don't they, for many people? And, whatever is arising, bring love to it. Let's, before we get into the main subject of this video, just spray the Mother Mary spray and feel for a message, because we're then going to expand into looking at the energies of the new moon in Aquarius. Why the hell have I said that? It is not the new moon in Aquarius. I know Aquarius moves into Pluto. It is the new moon in Aries, but there's no such thing as a slip of the tongue. So we'll have to look at when new moon in Aquarius is going to be occurring. I'll look at that in a moment. But yeah, this video is intended to be looking at new moon in Aries and the equinox energies, either autumn or springtime, dependent on where you are around the world. Okay, so there's a real shift of the axes. But before any of that, let's just have a little bit of a moment with Mother Mary. These are my beautiful flowers that my girls gave me this morning. Really beautiful, aren't they? Yes. So I'm going to be... I don't know, we're going to be doing something after lunch. One of them isn't up yet, typical teenager, and the other one is doing some schoolwork. So I am squeezing in a video to you. And I will just say, actually, it's really interesting being a working mum, isn't it? Because there's that thing of working mum guilt, which is, oh my gosh, I should be doing something else at this precise moment. I should be downstairs in a pinny, baking cookies, etc. But the truth is, always remember that your children chose you for exactly the type of person that you are. And that's just very important to remember at all times. So yeah, we'll have some fun later. And also, obviously, acknowledging my own mother on this day. Interesting, we've got the Queen of Scrolls on the bottom of the deck, as I said that. And if you look at that beautiful card, we have the Queen of Scrolls, obviously with a scroll, but this very much feels as though this is our ancestral lineage on the female side. So even obviously if you're a man, you still have your mother's DNA within you. You have your mother's ancestors within you as well, their stories, their patterns, their upbringing, the things that happened to them, the traumas that may be still unhealed, the gifts, the blessings, all of it, okay? So whatever, gender you are, just linking into that feminine lineage today. So let's bring in Mother Mary before we do anything. And this spray is called Harbour Light because she is the safe harbour. And it feels as though we will need to be in that safe harbour to a degree over the coming weeks. Lots of changes coming in our world, and the boat that we are in collectively being very rocked, certainly bobbing up and down via many different events in our world, collectively and also personally. But if you are within the harbour energy of Mother Mary, remember that you are safe at all times. The light is always on. You are always welcomed. Everybody is always welcomed. And you can stay there for as long as you need to until the storm passes. And there are many storms occurring at the moment in our world. And I'm not going to read on them specifically in this video, although I will try and come back to each of them individually very soon, although I am going on holiday at the end of next week, but I'll try my best. But I don't think any of these things are going to be going away anyway within the next couple of weeks, so we can return to them. But I would just like to give a shout out to the people of France. Lots of protests on the streets there and spreading. So peace to Paris, peace to France. We had last week the arrest warrant for Vladimir Putin. We also, I think, have an upcoming arrest of Donald Trump next week. We have the ongoing war in Ukraine and Russia. We have Mother Earth shaking and rocking, and earth changes, weather patterns, all the rest of it. So there are plenty of reasons to maybe stay in the harbour. And the one thing I would say is try to keep out of the dramas over the next few days. You will be encouraged by a lower energy to get sucked into the stories that are playing out. And even if you have strong opinions on them, just try to notice where your energy goes and how you get drained, whichever side of the debate you're on, with probably any of the subjects that might be coming up or the things that are in the news. Your energy is very precious and should really be saved for yourself, for your family, for your friends, for those you work with. And then anything left over, of course, you give to the collective pool as well. But Metatron's showing that a lot of people have got it the wrong way round at the moment, and the energy is going to subjects and people that actually aren't in your immediate vicinity, aren't actually in your life. And whether that, the example that came to me this morning was also Meghan Markle, for example, or Prince Harry. And you can have an opinion on that. But I remember when I read on it, I don't know, a few months ago, there were a few people that were really over and above triggered. It was almost like tipped into a different obsessive type energy. Their world had completely been rocked by what me or anybody else might say about, for example, Meghan or Donald Trump or Putin or any of the players on our stage at the moment. And ultimately, you've really got to look at what that is all about, and why has your equilibrium been rocked to that degree by a story in the news. You know, are you ever going to meet somebody like Donald Trump or Meghan Markle or Putin? You can have an opinion. You can hold the light for whatever it is you think that they need the light held for, but that's it, you know? So this is a week to really get back to yourself, really get back to your heart, really get back to what's going on in your world. Whilst outside the harbour of Mother Mary, the world is just going really crazy at the moment, okay? So I'm going to be talking in this video about the need for centering and grounding. And I was given a very simple technique last night, which I think I'll start with, which interested me more than anything because I love the way that particularly Archangel Metatron works, which is that he's always taught me that we need to shake things up, okay? So whether it's working with colours, which is what I work with, whether it's working with crystals or anything else, the traditional way of doing it doesn't have to be the only way. So for example, in colour therapy, we've all learned over goodness knows how many thousands of years that you know, certain colours belong to certain chakras. And Metatron's always been about, yeah, well, yes, that is true. And you can still feed your heart chakra, for example, with the energy of green, and that will be wonderful. But you can also put other colours into there, whether it be gold, blue, white, yellow, whatever it is that you feel your heart needs at any one time. So last night, I had a very weird day yesterday, and I shared it on Instagram and Facebook. Felt very out of sorts, tried to make this video, I just couldn't. My energy was, it felt actually almost out of my body. And that's another thing to watch actually at this time, because when the world is so overwhelming, those of us that are very sensitive and very empathic, there's a phrase, being in the world but not of the world, which is where most of us are most of the time. Being in the world but not of the world. But when it gets very overwhelming, we can actually trip into a different energy, which is we just want to be off the world. And it's totally unconscious, and you can feel very spacey, very dizzy, very out of your body, very ungrounded. So the trick is to realize when it's happened and get yourself back in your body as quickly as you can. And often it can be happening at the moment because the center of our being, the solar plexus energy, the center of our being, is being rocked by all of these external things, which, yes, are important, and yes, we need to bring light to, and we need to bring awareness to, but you need to know when you also have to draw back your own energy, okay? And when it's actually getting too much. And I'm telling you now, you probably already know this anyway, but the next few weeks, the next week is going to be crazy. It's just going to get crazier and crazier. The stories are going to get crazier and crazier. Just when you think you've heard it all, there's going to be something else that comes in. And those of us that are sensitive, we can get knocked off balance very easily, which is why we're being told to be in Mother Mary's harbour, because within that harbour, the waters are still moving and rocking the boat, i.e. us, but they're not going to trip us over. They're not going to tip us over, rather, okay, to the point where we actually have to sort of actually get out of body because we can't cope with what's going on down here. So really, really work with the energy of Mother Mary to stay in the safe harbour. Let what needs to play out, play out. There will be lots of people next week, for example, who are just transfixed to their TV. If, for example, somebody like Trump gets arrested, transfixed to their TV, watching every bit of it, getting into the drama of it all. You've actually given your power away when you're doing that. Your true power lies in living your life every single day to the best of your ability, meeting the basic demands that are required, like eating properly and exercising and sleeping well and doing your work, etc. And then you give attention to the outside things. But we've definitely got it the wrong way round at the moment. Too much attention going to the external, not enough going on to the internal. So back to the technique I was given last night then. I think you understand that the centre of our being is being rocked. And actually, before I tell you the technique, the other thing that I was shown by Metatron is that I was definitely experiencing this sort of out-of-body feeling yesterday, feeling dizzy, ungrounded, unbalanced, all the rest of it. I slept a lot of the day. I feel absolutely fine now. You know, I'm back. But equally, being somebody who's very sensitive to the geopathic energies, earthquakes, Mother Nature, I was told this morning by Metatron, it was like he was saying, the thing is, you are Mother Nature. You are Mother Nature too. We are her children. So when she is rocking and rolling, as I call it, we absolutely feel it because we are her. We are churning in the same way that she is churning. And I knew yesterday, when I was trying to rest and get myself back into alignment, that there was going to be another earthquake. I could just feel it. And actually what happened yesterday was there was quite a large earthquake in Ecuador. And the significance of that is quite interesting because Ecuador lies right on the equator line, okay? It's right on the equator. And the equator line is obviously what divides up the northern and the southern hemispheres. So right in the centre, equator line, we have this earthquake going off. Right in the centre of our being, we have effectively almost like an energetic earthquake going off. We're feeling all over the place. We're trying to find our feet. We also have the energy of, and I've talked about this before, poles shifting, okay? So this is something that's already happening. The poles are starting to shift. And you can go back and look at what I've said on that. But the bit that I'd like to pull out today is that my understanding, my rudimentary understanding, I'm not a scientist, but what I understand happens during a pole shift era, because it's actually an era, it's not one day where it happens over many days, many months, many years, the poles start to shift, is that the core of Mother Earth, it's as though she flips her axes, okay? So again, think about the core of Mother Earth, her solar plexus, for want of a better word, the centre of her being. Very much like what's happening now next week in our world with Equinox. We're flipping from winter to spring here in my part of the world, or in another part of the world, you're flipping from summer to autumn. The inner axes are changing within the world, within nature and her cycles, and also the whole duality that's playing out at the moment, where we've got these big stories, these big characters that are asking us to look from different perspectives at everything. So is there any wonder why A, we feel overwhelmed, B, we feel uncentered and ungrounded? Even those of us that pride ourselves on being grounded, because I pride myself on being grounded. I am a grounded person, but I've found it very difficult the last few days. So yeah, the basics are there, obviously, getting out into nature, walking, grounding food. And I'm not going to get into what you should be eating because there's a hell of a lot of judgment on that. I ate something last night, for example, that I knew my body needed, which other people would judge me for. But I don't care because I know my body better than the person who would be judging it, okay? So we're not going to get into the whole thing about what's good for your body to ground, because these days are very much about you learning what you need to steer your own ship. Right, back to the very simple technique then that Metatron gave me last night to ground the body. And it's why I was talking about changing colours, and Metatron shakes things up. So I went to get a crystal, which had been out on my balcony all day. And because I've been feeling, as I've described, I thought, okay, do some work on your base chakra then. It must be linked into the base chakra. But I was straight away shown, no, it's not the base chakra, it's the solar plexus, for reasons that I've just said. And so I went to put red jasper actually in my belly button. I've actually got one of those belly buttons that goes in. My mother's very proud of it. But anyway, she is actually. So I've got a belly button where it sits quite nicely into it, okay? But even if you've got an outie, it doesn't matter. Put red jasper, in all seriousness, let's get serious. Red jasper or a grounding crystal, or if you're using my sprays, you could use emerald, you could use earth element, you could use Archangel Sandalphon, those in particular, grounding sprays, grounding crystals, lay it flat onto your base chakra. And, you know, the old way would be like, hold on a minute, why are you putting red jasper onto your solar plexus? That should be a gold stone. That should be something like citrine or, I don't know, golden, I can't think of any other yellow stones at the moment or gold stones, but, you know, it wouldn't be red. This is for the base chakra. But last night I needed to put it right into the center of my navel, my stomach. And instantly I could just feel this peace that started to radiate out from my center. So do that, okay, over the coming days. So in summary, before we get back to the cards and have a look at what's going to be coming up with all of these energies for equinox and new moon, let's just have a little summary. Try not to get into the dramas of the days ahead, okay? And that includes, you know, in comments and social media. As soon as you start to feel that you're getting dragged into, you know, an argument, or you're having to say your piece because of whatever, you're in the drama of it, okay? Try to detach from that drama as much as you can. Those of you that have got my Metatron deck, you know that there's a very good card within this, which I'm just trying to find, which is called Detach from Drama. And it shows a person, and she's just so, you know, into whatever the story is that's playing in her mind, whether it's something in her own life or whether it's the drama of, I don't know, the Illuminati and the cabal and the this and the that and us and them and Biden and Trump and Harry and Meghan, or whoever it is, whatever the story is that's taking up too much of your time, okay? There's actually a beautiful day going on here, but this person can't see it. They just cannot see it. And this is what I really want to get to. We have an opportunity in the coming week for some extraordinary light to come into our planet, but most importantly into you. And you are going to miss it, my friend. if you are just caught up with all of these stories that they want to pull us into. So, you know, it's basically your choice, but my guidance, it's not going to cut off, is it? You see, I'm getting distracted by that. You see how easy it is to get distracted? It's a loose thread. So what, Amanda? Just forget it. It's your choice whether to be distracted or whether to keep trying to come back to being aligned and focused like I just have. Because the truth is, you're a human being and you're going to get distracted. You're going to get, you know, it's easy to get hooked into things. But notice when you are. This is the thing. Notice when you are. Take a deep breath in and then come back to self. Come back to your center. Ground that central energy, that central axis. So important. Let's see what goes with the Detach from Drama card. Okay. Well, I didn't even get to shuffle the card. It just flew out. Go with the flow. Exactly. Whatever arises, as Matt Kahn says, love that. But whatever arises, go with the flow. Go with it. Go with the flow. Stop. We're getting stuck on certain bits of the story. So detach, go with the flow, paddle on, keep going. Yeah, I don't know whether I'm going to call the video this, but I had an idea for a video, which is keep calm and carry on, which was the mantra given to certainly the UK through the Second World War. Keep calm and carry on. And these are definitely days to just keep calm and carry on. You know, what other, you know, thing are we going to have thrown at us to... I'm being shown... I don't know what animal it would be. I guess it would be like a dog, you know, where you like throw a lump of meat to the animal, like just to keep it happy. Just throw another bone to the dog. But it's like, we're the dog. Don't let anybody else, what's the expression, wagging the dog's tail or something? I don't know. But anyway, right. I'm going to pull some cards now. There was something else that I wanted to say though. Oh yeah. I've had a few questions in about... not actually about the equinox energies, which is what we are going to read on. Not actually about the new moon in Aries, which we are going to read on. Some other portal that's supposed to be happening next week. I think it's called Heaven's Cross. Now, I was sitting waiting for Metatron to give me some information on this, and I got absolutely nothing. And I thought, well, this is a bit weird, because, you know, I like working with portals, and I know Metatron does. So I was like, well, okay. And the more that I've tuned into it, I'm not wanting to diss anybody else's work, is the first thing to say, but I'm not getting anything extraordinary is about to happen with regards to what they're calling Heaven's Cross, which I believe is the 22nd of March, which would be next next Wednesday. I believe what they think is going to happen, it sounds very much like, do you remember a few years ago when people were talking about the event and there was supposed to be this big rainbow wave that was going to be coming across the world and everything was instantly going to shift to 5D, and I was like, oh yeah, we've heard this before. But anyway, it didn't happen like that because it's not going to happen like that. This feels a bit like the same thing. Supposedly there's supposed to be some great big opening in the sky where, you know, light is revealed and people stop in awe and look up. And well, it'd be lovely if it did happen, but I'm not holding my breath personally. This is what I'm actually wanting to say about it though. What Metatron said to me this morning is that, let's put it this way, the veils are becoming thinner and thinner. We know this, don't we? The veils are becoming thinner and thinner all the time, so that we can see through illusion, we can see through smoke and mirrors, but also we can hopefully, we're honing our own intuition, our own discernment, our own gifts of clairvoyance, clairsentience, etc. Gifts of the spirit being given to us to help us with these times, but also because we're doing the work. And as you ascend in frequency, you're able to see beyond the veil more easily. And so it's less about it being a particular day where suddenly the heavens open. What Metatron's saying is that it has always been thus. And what he means is there have always been For some reason, I'm hearing the word episodes. I don't know why he's saying episodes, but there've always been episodes. I would actually say days or anniversaries, but he's saying episodes through human history where extraordinary light comes in, and it always will be the case. So we also have, for example, Easter coming up quite soon. Easter is one of these episodes. Easter is one of these portals. Lion's Gate is an episode. Lion's Gate is a portal. 11/11 is. 7/7 is. Christmas is. Not meaning to make it just about Christian festivals. It would be true of all other faiths as well. Equinox is one. There have always been these episodes where effectively extraordinary light comes into the planet. It's just, what he's saying is, it's just because of the rise in frequency, more people are actually able to physically see it with their eyes now. Or if you're not clairvoyant, you're able to sense it. Okay, you might be able to sense it. Maybe you can hear it as well. Might be a beautiful rush of energy that you can hear. But because our senses are getting heightened, because of the upgrade in frequency that we all are having, we're able to see these things. And he gave me the example of in ancient days, Stone Age man, Middle Age man, where, particularly Stone Age man, something like an eclipse would happen. And people would think, my God, the world is ending. And then, of course, the sun came back or the moon came up. It's, oh my God, thank God. They didn't understand it. So they saw these solar events, lunar events, what Metatron is calling light events, light episodes. And they didn't understand it. So they put a story to it. That, oh my gosh, this is the apocalypse, or this is the grand awakening. But now we understand what eclipses are, okay? And it's the same with these portal dates where we've got this big rush of plasma and light coming in, and more of us can see it now. So to me, that's what these people are seeing, basically, okay? So it's nothing new, and it will continue. And it's a good thing, of course, but don't get fixated on one particular day. The reason why I look at things like equinox and the moon's phases in particular is because they are unifying points that we can all understand and rally behind. But you don't have to get behind every, new portal that is out there. I mean, you can if you want to. I believe personally that every day is a portal, but it's the hype that sometimes goes with these things that isn't necessarily healthy, because with hype comes expectation that, oh my God, I am going to see the rainbow wave, or I am going to see the heavens open. And then when it doesn't, people get disappointed. It's like, oh, well, I knew there was nothing in it. And then they start to doubt spirit and doubt their faith. Whereas if you can just start to see that, if you see anything on the 22nd, or you see anything on equinox, or you see anything on Easter, or you sense any of these things and you're seeing different light phenomena, brilliant. It's what's always been there. It's just that you're now at the frequency to be able to see it. Okay. Right. So we've looked at the earthquake in Ecuador, the equator. Let's get to some cards now. Okay, so we've got Mother Mary here as a helper for these times that we're in. The other energy, as well as Metatron, of course, who's always here, thank you, Metatron, is another archangel I'm feeling very close right now, which is Archangel Raphael. It's the green ray. And maybe this makes sense particularly because of the nature cycles that we're in, the colour green, moving into springtime here or moving into autumn in other parts of the world. So let's just bring in Raphael's energy as well. And Raphael is reminding us to always keep going back to our heart, always to keep coming back to nature. And also the green ray is about continuing expansion, continuing evolving. So for example, with autumn coming in some parts of the world, things start to look as though they are decaying and they're falling off the tree, and leaves are dying and all the rest of it. But of course, that has to happen for the tree to rebud and regrow come next spring. And of course we have green shoots coming up all over in my part of the world. But Raphael is very much about balance and harmony. And actually, as I'm looking at the bottle, look at that. Can you see it says balance and harmony? I'm going back to this thing that I was shown by Metatron yesterday about working on our solar plexus. It's not to say you can't use the golds and the yellows, which are the traditional colours, to balance the solar plexus. And indeed, we have got a golden citrine solar plexus spray. You can use that. But there's additional tools to help stabilise our centre at the moment. Raphael is one because he's about balance and harmony, getting the balance back, but also these very earthy colours, the crystals, the browns, the reds in particular, okay? So we're needing to find our balance, okay? Right, where shall I start with the cards? Let's start with this deck. This is the Dream Keeper's Tarot, and I'm just wondering where to start. One's just fallen out of the deck before I do anything, which is the Two of Swords. Choice point times. And we have the Three of Wands on the bottom of the deck. So the energies right now are choice point times. And the choice is, what vision do we have for the way forward? What is our vision? What are we expecting to come true? What are we hoping for? What are we dreaming in? What are we manifesting in? But choice point. Are we going to stay stuck in the dramas of it all and we're not really even focusing on what we want because we're too obsessed with other people who don't even know who we are, or you know, characters on the stage who don't even know we exist? So I think that's sort of ramming home what I was saying earlier. Two of Swords and Three of Wands. Just wondering whether to split this up actually in terms of the new moon or the equinox. Which one happens first? Let's just have a little look. So the new moon is on the 21st. Well, they're all happening at the same time, aren't they, really? Spring equinox is Monday the 20th. In my part of the world, UK, autumn equinox is Tuesday the 21st, for example, in Sydney, Australia. New moon in Aries is the 21st of March. Okay. What shall I do, Metatron? Hold on a minute. Let's just get some guidance here. I don't know whether to read it individually or just the whole caboodle. I think it's the whole caboodle. Okay. Okay, he's just saying read the next 3 days' energy and what they bring in. Okay, so this is a combined energy, equinox and new moon in Aries. He's showing me 3 points, you know, the triangle, the angles, the 3 angles, the pyramid. These energies are spearheading us somewhere. Spearheading us into the unknown, I'm hearing. Spearheading us into the unexplored. I'm being shown an image of, and this is symbolic, of, I guess it's like the moonwalk type energy, but this isn't somebody landing on a planet. This is like an astronaut where they, you know, when they are released from the space capsule, but they're still attached to it and they're like floating around in space. I've probably watched too many sci-fi films, but that's the image I'm getting in my mind. Okay, that's what he's showing me. So it's as though we're all at sea. The card that I pulled yesterday for the Instagram and Facebook video was up in the air. It was a card from, I don't know if I've got it here to show you, the Akashic Tarot. Just showed this hot air balloon up in the air. And I'm getting a different version of it now in my mind's eye. It's as though we are like the spaceman and we're just like floating around. And to be honest, it feels all right. It's just like, I just like want to do this. It's this card, isn't it? It's like go with the flow. It's like, oh, Okay, it could be this, it could be that. We could land here, we could go there. Next 3 days energy. Metatron, because the truth is that mankind has this opportunity, you have this opportunity to go somewhere where you haven't been before, into new territory, into new parts of your brain, into new parts of your heart, into new neural pathways, to create new neural pathways. He's saying that you can, this feels a bit like Tesla as well, that you can create new neural pathways every single day, however old you are or however young you are. I'm being shown the baby that learns to crawl. The fact that it learns to crawl and then it learns to stand up, it's because the body has created new neural pathways to enable that to happen. The body also learns that it can trust the process, that if I stand up, I'm not going to fall over. If I put one foot in front of the other, I actually get somewhere. If I then put another foot in a different direction, I go left. If I put another foot in another direction, I go right. This is to do with us firing up our neurons, creating new neural pathways to do new things, to experience new things, to go new places, places within ourselves, places externally. Okay. The next 3 days, please, Metatron. Show me the energy that the next 3 days bring in, which encompasses Equinox and New Moon in Aries. Show me what energy this brings in for people watching. We have challenges, but we also have destiny on the bottom of the deck. Let me just keep going. Also feeling something around the throat chakra. Finding new ways to communicate. Finding new ways to break through in terms of discussions that need to be had. Negotiations that need to take place. It's interesting that Putin and the leader of China are meeting next week. I'm being shown that now as well. I'm really feeling the energy at my throat. Harsh truths coming from that encounter. I'm not sure whether the harsh truth is for either of them or whether it's for the world. I'm not sure whether it's... I'm just going to have to pull a couple of cards on this, guys. Sorry, I'll come back to these two in a minute. I'm just being led here for a reason. Show me the energy and the outcome of the meeting between Putin and... Sorry, I can't remember his name. But Metatron knows what I mean. The Chinese leader. And Putin next week. I'm seeing them in my mind's eye, standing side by side. I'm seeing the Chinese leader taking one step forward in front of Putin, as though he's the one leading the show. We have the Nine of Wands, defensive position. The energy of judgment. Look at that judgment card. It's got a skeleton, uncovered bodies. There's a judgment call next week with regards to the meeting between these two. I'm not being shown what's decided by them, but I am being shown that put it this way, and this is not me taking sides at all. because it would probably apply to the other team as well, whether that be America, UK, Ukraine, whatever. This situation in our world, which is quite dangerous right now and could escalate, is being very closely watched by the angelic realm, not just the galactic realm, the angelic realm. Look at that angel that's come down to earth. It's taking up like bloody roots. It's over this war field. I feel as though spirit is displeased by the potential escalation. Well, of course they are. They want an era of peace. Why are you leading me here, Metatron? Hold on, let me just see. He says because it's important. Okay, so the meeting between these two. What is the end result? What is the end result of the meeting between these two? Putin and the Chinese leader. Show me the energy. What is the outcome of the meeting between Putin and the Chinese leader? Five of Swords is victory at any cost. Well, I think we just have to hold. We have to hold the energy of peace and light very close to our hearts next week, and we have to pray for breakthrough. Is breakthrough of peace possible? If enough want it, is what I'm hearing. If enough want it to be so, yes. The world can bring a stop to this, but the world can only bring a stop to it by going within. And this is very much what I said in my last video, if you've watched the video on escalation of war, that the world has to go within and find a different way for processing their hatred and anger, because war starts within each of us. And we have the hermit, the world, and the hanged man. So yes, peace can be found, but we all play our part in that. And going back to what I was saying earlier in this reading, this is another thing that we could get hooked into next week as a drama, as a story. It is real, it is happening, so we're aware of it. Now let's put our light to it. But more than anything, let's do our own inner work. Where are we feeling at war? Who do we feel is our enemy? Where do we want to divide and conquer and rule? Where do we want to win at all costs? At all costs. These are very deep and important questions we need to be asking ourselves. Okay, so, okay, let's move back then to what I was trying to do, which was read for us who, well, I'm reading for us all the time, but just there was another message coming through about what were the next 3 days bringing in. So we have challenges and destiny. I mean, I suppose you could almost read those again in terms of what I've just said, that the challenge is war, and you know all that brings. The path to peace at the moment has got some great big boulders and blocks and challenges, and maybe the meeting of these two next week is going to be a, you know, is going to be more difficult, prove more difficult for the opposing side to deal with if those two powers unite. But ultimately, we're all destined for this more peaceful earth. And it's linked into being of service, to be of service. Okay, let's now, Metatron, go down to the micro level, the personal level. And I'm going to pull again. And I'm going to ask this deck, the Akashic Records. We started with the beautiful Queen of Scrolls, the mothering energy, looking at our feminine lineage. which also means blessing and thanking those who have gone before, thanking our mothers, thanking our grandmothers, thanking our great-grandmothers, etc. Nourishing ourselves. If you weren't particularly nourished by a mother or weren't particularly nurtured by a mother, learn to nourish yourself, learn to nurture yourself, mother yourself. Okay, let's see. So these next 3 days are going to be, it's a beautiful sunny day today, okay? It feels light, it feels nice, the energy's good, but there is a heaviness with these days coming up. I'm sorry, I can't pretend that I'm not getting what I'm getting, but remember that the light is there. Hold on to that. That renewal is possible in any moment. This is really a time to work on self. Other messages, please, Metatron. Yeah. There's 2 here. We've got the lightning bolt, and we've also got a card linked into ego. To let go of egoic structures and try to get into our heart. The internal battery got too hot and switched off the camera. Usually I just run out of battery, and that's why I have to do the videos in 2 parts. But that was an unusual thing for me because I've got, it's not hot in this room at all. So I was actually trying to say at that point that it's about, I can't remember exactly what I was saying, but it was to do with the ego, managing the ego and getting back into the heart. So it's almost as though this egoic energy is running rampant right now in our world because we've got all of this fire energy, and this is also on the bottom of the deck again. This card I pulled yesterday in yesterday's read on Instagram and Facebook, the Lookout. Look, it's the same card. Fire energy, egoic energy. There's going to be a lot of fanning of the flames in the next 3 days, whipping up people's shadow side, whipping up people's egoic side. There's going to be so much distraction that's going to try and stop us from dipping into the positive energies that are around and are able to be played. The chess game on the bottom of the deck. We're going to be, if we're not careful, very caught up in the chess game, the duality game of who's right, who's wrong, who's dark, who's light. I rather love the fact that we've got the violet energy on this card. Go back to the violet pill energy. Talked about that before. That doesn't mean you can't have opinions, strong opinions sometimes, but it's just about trying to see all sides. Trying to see the light in everything, because there is light in everything and in everyone. I was thinking this morning, is there any person in this world that if they had a fall from grace, for example, I would really be sort of like rubbing my hands in joy, watching the TV, getting the popcorn out? Truthfully, there isn't. I mean, there's people that I don't particularly like in our world. That's okay, because there are some unlikable people. But I think if you're coming from a heart space, you don't get into the nastiness of it all. So, that's my neighbours talking, if you can hear. You see, maybe we were meant to hear that though. Get back to talking to your neighbours. Get back to talking to people. Get back to shaking hands with people, whoever they are. Doesn't matter, if they vote for a different political party from you, or they've got a different faith from you, or they're of a different colour from you, or they're a different gender from you, or a different sexuality from you. We've got to somehow get past all of this division and separation because I just feel there's going to be an escalation of this fire energy, and fire at the end of the day can get out of control. So we have to be the ones that dampen it down within ourselves. Look at ourselves within the mirror and see when we're being played, when we're getting, when we're going into our shadow side. Basically, you've got to keep going back to the energy of the heart. Because we've got the lookout card here. Did I talk about that? The lookout card. We're aware of what's happening. We're on the lookout for what's happening. We know there's all sorts of problems in our world at the moment, whether it be financial collapses potentially or not, war potentially or not, leaders potentially arrested or not, other dramas playing out or not. So we know, we're aware, but we're not consumed by the fire. We're not consumed by it. Okay? He's a watchful observer. He's watching, he's observing, he's helping, he's trying to protect, he's serving, but he's not adding to the flames. This is what I'm really trying to say. Don't add to the flames. Definitely a week to go back into the heart, my friends. Definitely a week to go back into the heart. So let's have some guidance now, Metatron, in terms of that. So definitely the energy of Mother Mary. Let's bring her in again. I just feel that there's an energy of her weeping for her children at the moment around the world. But it's it's a mother who's very practical. And by that I mean that it's as though I'm looking through her eyes and I'm seeing the mess of the world that we've got ourselves into, where our separation and our division has led us. And she's like wiping away the tears because she doesn't want that for us. She doesn't want that for the world. But then it's this very pragmatic, okay, let's roll up our sleeves. Let's get on with it. Let's get the sweeping brush out. Let's start clearing it up. Even if it's not my mess, I'm going to help clear it up. I'm taken to the beach near where I live, and people their shadow side runs rampant. They leave their litter there, but other people go and pick up their litter. And this is the energy we need to get into, I think, this week. Not just this week, full time really. It's selfless service. It's service to others. It's not service to self. It's humbleness. It's totally from the heart. And you can't get there if you're still stuck in the us and them. And many of us are in this heart-centered place. We truly are. And many of you are on my channel, and I honour you. We need to be like this beautiful Queen of Scrolls. We need to be like Mother Mary. We need to go into our heart. And we need to know that the love that we have within our heart, the energy of compassion and forgiveness and reconciliation, is ever abundant. That there's always going to be more of it. That the more love you give, the more light you give, the more there is to give. It's limitless. It's limitless. Imagine yourselves this week at Equinox, at New Moon in Aries, standing underneath this beautiful waterfall of light. And the waterfall of light is encoded with high vibrational frequencies that help you to get into that violet pill energy, that help you to get into the energy of tolerance and love and non-judgment, to heal yourself, to help heal the world, to be able to extend your hand to your fellow brothers and sisters. And you do it whilst around you other people are fighting and squabbling. There's going to be some pretty ugly stuff next week, I feel. But it's also, we can contribute to the ugliness or we can contribute to the beauty. Your job as a light worker is to add to the beauty. I was watching something yesterday. It was a political video actually, and it was talking about Trump, and some of the comments were so disgustingly vile. I actually stopped watching it. There were moderators supposedly trying to keep this live stream polite and respectful, but I think what they were actually trying to do was just block out people that, for example, supported Trump. I'm not a supporter of Trump, by the way, okay, before anybody comes at me. You can be. I don't care. I don't actually support him, and I don't support Biden. I want a new generation of politics to come in for America, okay? But the point I'm trying to make is that there were comments and they were saying things like, for Melania, they were calling her melanoma cancer. And then Rhonda Satan, I've said this before, let's call him Rhonda Satan. Let's not call him his name. It's so childish and immature and ugly. And both camps are just as capable of being just as ugly. And okay, that's politics, but it can apply to so many other things in our world. The bullying, the bullying that we see in our schools, the bullying that we see in our communities. We have to answer it with love. We have to answer it with beauty. And we walk away from ugliness when we see it. Okay. And we also don't get into sort of like virtue signalling, which is sort of like, well, my side of the camp would never do that. Because actually both sides of the bird are just as diseased. We need to bring in this new earth energy with new fresh energies on our stage. But it starts with us. We've got to have an inner clean-up within ourselves. Okay? So, all comes back to love. It always all comes back to love. Let's just pull 2 final cards. Any final messages, please, Spirit? And then I better get on with my day. 2 final cards for the people watching for the week ahead. We have attachment, this is what I was saying at the beginning. This is going to keep you in exile, attached to the dramas, attached to stories that don't serve you, that aren't even about you, being played, basically, attached to materialism in all its ugliness sometimes. There's nothing wrong with a bit of material wealth, but when it tips over into greed, there's something wrong with that. Because look at that, that's a treasure trove of gold that nobody could even spend that amount in their lifetime. But I want more, and I want more, and I want more. And if you do that, there's going to be this energy of just feeling exiled, feeling separated from the God light. So, yeah, this is repeating what I've already said in this video. There's going to be a lot of shadows, a lot of illusionary energy, which leads to feeling isolated. It's like eating something that doesn't satisfy you. Don't get caught up in the dramas of all of this. This is lower energy. Let's have an antidote to that, please, Metatron. We know the antidote is love, but let's just have a look at 2 cards to polar opposite energies of that for us to be focusing in on, please. Crown Portal and Adventure. We've also got Oneness. Let's just have that one as well. So the antidote to all of that ugliness is this. Open up your crown chakra. Allow these light codes to come in. Center. Protect your energy fields. Go into your heart. See the beautiful adventure that the portal of Equinox can bring, that the portal of the new moon can bring. And that's your portal. It's your adventure. It's got none of the other ugliness associated with it. And your portal, where you're heading, is towards unity, is towards cooperation, is towards calmness. It's really interesting that this is the Divine Masculine card, because I'm recording this on Mother's Day, but I pulled a card on this yesterday and I got the Father as well. But this actually feels literally like God the Father. And please don't get triggered by that. We know God can also be a mother, but, just for once, let's just go with God the Father, okay? The masculine energy, the masculine expression of God, which is about order, okay? Divine order, divine timing, in many ways it's beautiful, isn't it? Because we started with Mother Mary, and here we've got the energy of Father God as well. So the balance between the masculine and the feminine. So it definitely feels also as though this rebalancing and this need for equilibrium. I'm being shown, you know those big balls that you can sit on, yoga balls, and you sit on it and you try and get your balance, big blow up balls, and you sit on it. That's what we're on at the moment. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to find our balance and stay like that for as long as we can. But also whilst you're doing that, literally balancing out the ego and the heart, the light and the shadow, the collective energy and the micro energy, the macro and the micro, getting it all in proportion, basically, getting it all in proportion. So be aware of where your masculine and feminine energies are out this week as well, because it's an opportunity to bring them back into balance with each other. And the first step is acknowledging that there's a problem, that there's a deficit in one or there's an overaccumulation in the other. So are you doing too much? Are you giving too much? Is the energy of balance and give and receive, as it should be? But yeah, beautiful energies coming in. But you have to detach from all of this other nonsense and drama that's going on. That whatever happens in all of that, you have your life to live. Your life. Your family. Your body to live in. Your job to do. And you've got to keep calm and you've got to carry on. I think I am going to call this video Keep Calm and Carry On. Absolutely. All right, guys, I better go. Balance is important. Done a bit of work. It's now 11 o'clock. The teenager's still not out of bed, but I'm going to go and get her out and say, oi, it's Mother's Day. And then we're going to, go and bake a cake and have some nice food. I don't know what, but nourishing, nurturing, nice soft energy. Take care of everybody. Lots of love. And yes, I'm off to Switzerland next week, so you won't get probably long videos from me for a few weeks, but I will try and maybe upload some fun stuff or some of the scenery of what I'm seeing. And, where was the card we had earlier, which was all about, adventure, absolutely. But Metatron was also talking about being the spaceman, sort of exploring, and I could land here, I could land there, and neural pathways and new ways to experience things. So I know that Switzerland is also going to fire up my imagination in lots of ways. So that's going to be really refreshing and a definite upgrade, I feel, as well, coming in with all of that. So I'm really looking forward to it. But yeah, I'll try to upload just some much shorter little pieces. So I haven't disappeared off the mountainside. I'm on my way to the summit in my own way. All right, lots of love. Take care. See you all soon. Bye-bye for now. Thanks for your support, as always. Bye.